The Persona series is known for having some of the longest games. Combine all of these hours together, and that's basically half a school year. But what if I told you there was a way to beat a 100-hour-long game in just under a day? Well, in Persona 4, there is an insanely OP persona named Yoshitsune that's only available around the end of the game. If we were to use this persona at the very start, we could do just that. That is why today, we are going to see how fast can you beat Persona 4 Golden using Yoshitsune. Now just a little disclaimer, I am no speedrunner, and I sucked at even trying to do so. One reason is because I'm using a shitty build from my first playthrough of this game instead of the one from my U-only run because my game crashed at the credits and I didn't want to redo the Izanami fight. So we're rocking with this build instead. I also had to max out the social links from the teammates I plan to use because of that as well. I'll get into more as we go through this run, but some things you'll also need to know is that 1. This will be a new game plus on normal difficulty. 2. I will be beating this game as a whole, so no bad endings or skipping Marie's dungeon. And 3. This will not be an accurate retelling of the story, so I suggest leaving so you don't ruin your Persona 4 experience here, especially since there will still be spoilers. With all that said, let's get into the run. The game starts off with Yu moving to Inaba for the year with his uncle and cousin, and the moment he moves here, he gets a really bad headache, and later that night, he was fighting his sleep paralysis demon, Slenderman. Okay, so maybe day 1 here wasn't that great, but what about day 2? Well, Nanako makes breakfast for us, our new classmates invited us to do a threesome, someone got killed. Day 3, Chie tells us a creepypasta called The Midnight Channel where you'll meet the person that wants to f*** you by watching a powered-off TV on a rainy midnight.
Oh my god!
Even though it's a creepypasta, Yu decided to try it out himself since he's desperate for it. When he tried it out, he could see someone in there and try to reach for her, but he almost got sucked into the TV instead, but was able to get out. Now surely things couldn't get any weirder, right? Well, on day 4 we tell Chie and Yosuke about last night, and we even showed it to them at Junes. And then we all fall into the TV, and there happens to be a whole world inside here. We try to look around for an exit, but find a creepy room that looks like something you'd see in a lost episode, and Yosuke decides to take a piss in here. We go back to where we started, and then we encounter a...
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
We left the moment we saw him and came back to Junes and pretend none of that happened. Day 5, another person dies.
I'm about to just turn this shit off and go outside, bro.
Alright, so let's recap these past few days since we moved. 2 people died, there's a world inside of a TV, and there's a furry who tells very bad jokes. At this point, we're not even going to question this town anymore. Anyway, we have a feeling that the TV world may be connected to the 2 murders because it wouldn't be a creepypasta if there weren't people dying. We go back in and ask Teddy for help, and he led us to a creepier version of our town, and we encounter shadows here. Yu awakens to his persona Izanagi and took him out pretty quickly. We then encounter Yosuke's shadow who knows everything about him. These types of shadows are basically a lie detector test. If you confirm what they say is true, they'll let us go. But if you deny what they say about you, you'll be facing the consequences for lying, because as SpongeBob once said,
lying is wrong.
The shadow then exposes Yosuke for fantasizing about Saki giving him head, but he says that isn't true, which turns out to be a lie, so now he is gonna kill us all. But we were able to stop him from doing so. Yosuke then admits that it's true, and he is rewarded with a persona. Wow, Yosuke really is like all the Persona fans. After that, we decided to take another look at the Midnight Channel and see a silhouette that happens to look like Yukiko. We then come to theorize that there is some killer out there who targets people that appear on the Midnight Channel and throws them into the TV. And it turns out to be true with Yukiko disappearing the next day and having her own program. We go back in to ask Teddy and...
Can't you tell? I'm thinking about stuff. I've been to...
私の名は吉良義景、年齢33歳。自宅は森王町北東部の別荘地帯にあり、結婚はしていない。仕事は亀有チェーン店の会社員で、毎日遅くとも夜8時までには帰宅する。タバコは吸わない。
He leads us to where Yukiko is at, and Chie decides to run in on her own. We caught up to her where we encounter her shadow, and she says that Chie doesn't actually like meat. She of course denies it, which happens to be a lie, so now we have to fight her shadow. After doing so, Chie admits her shadow is right and gets a persona as well. We go back to rest up, and now we are finally allowed to do whatever we want, meaning it's time to actually speedrun this. So I went back to the TV world the next day, bought Yoshitsune from the compendium, and now it's all over. Now for those of you that don't know how he works, basically he has the most broken move in the game called Hostile Toby, and this is what it does. So with this move in my hands and Yoshitsune being at level 95, I could just run by the whole dungeon without even grinding and head straight into the boss fight. One problem though is that it's kinda hard to avoid shadow encounters as they just always appear out of nowhere, and I have no choice but to fight them or escape. Both waste time either way. The rooms are all randomized too, so I either get so lucky that I am going in the right path and just bullshit this entire dungeon, or I hit a frickin' dead end, making me lose so much time that the sloth from Zootopia could finish singing the alphabet in this time. With that said, we reach the end, and oh no, Yukiko told a lie. And what was it, you ask? It's best not to know, or else the next 60 days is gonna be nothing but regret for your existence. I fight the boss, but it seems like Yoshitsune was too powerful that not even my OBS could handle it. And I didn't notice until after I saved, so unfortunately you can't even see what happened. But don't worry, I got my good old friend Google Slides to show you. So first, that freeze frame blur transition happens. Shadow Yukiko starts talking shit. I do that anime glasses thing, and then Yukiko gets her persona, and now it's time to skip all these days until Yukiko recovers. Unfortunately, she doesn't seem to remember what happened before she got kidnapped, meaning we got no clues as to who the killer is. So I skip all the boring stuff until we see a guy named Kanji Tatsumi who became famous for fighting in the 1000 biker gang battle and killing them all himself. He then appeared on the Midnight channel and was thrown in the next day. Once again, I get through this whole dungeon while trying my best to not get into many fights and hoping I get lucky with the paths I take. I also do want to mention that I am using the gold hands as my main way of grinding since they give out a lot of EXP and you level up a lot. Even though Yoshitsune is so OP in early game, it's still important to level up because it's not going to be that easy for too long, and you'll see later on. Anyway, I reach the end of the dungeon and find Kanji with his shadow. His shadow says that magic is never going to get a girlfriend, but Kanji says that isn't true and he believes that I'll succeed. He actually doesn't believe that. So I made sure this shadow burned in hell because screw whatever he thinks about me. I mean, you all believe in me, right? Anyways, we save Kanji and wait for him to recover, and once that happens, we still have no lead as to who the killer is since Kanji also doesn't remember. Later on, Yosuke had the idea of hitting on girls to prove Shadow Kanji was wrong, so we go to Okina City to do just that, and we were able to get a number very easily. I decided to call her now, and it happened to be a trap because her boyfriend picked up, and if he ever finds me, then it's curtains for me. As for Yosuke, not only did the girl he hit on answered, but she even showed up. Wow, Yosuke is such a lucky guy. My ego is shattered now. She then hops on his scooter and everyone dies. After that was our camping trip where we get to sleep with the girls, and as time passes by, the Midnight channel strikes again. This time an idol named Rise Kujikawa is being targeted. We decided to check up on her to see if everything was alright, and then she tells us that the person that was on the TV can't be her because she looks nothing like an Instagram model. We decided to check again, and it was clearly her. So we go back the next day to see if she was there, and then we see she's being stalked by a Discord mod. While we were busy chewing him out, Rise disappeared as we left her place alone. God dang it, I was hoping the killer was this guy so I could Hasotobi him in a way no one has ever. Anyhow, we get into our dungeon and quickly get through this before my parents could hear the moaning in this dungeon's theme. And at this point, I don't even care what lies these shadows tell anymore after what Shadow Kanji said to me. I bet you Shadow Risei said this video is gonna flop, which I know it isn't because I know you're all gonna like and subscribe right now and leave a comment saying how much you love this video and want to see more. Otherwise, if you become the reason why Shadow Risei is right,
You actually get no bitches!
Anyways, we start the fight and end it right before my mom could walk in my room, but it doesn't end here as Teddy's shadow comes out of him and suddenly turns into an abandoned Chuck E. Cheese mech. Likewise, he gets smoked in 2 turns. Risei is saved, and later on our teacher somehow dies, even though he never appeared on the Midnight Channel. While we were trying to figure out what could have possibly happened, we find out that Teddy grew a human body inside of him, Risei falls for me, eat Shadow Kanji, and just before we could enjoy our summer, some kid named Mitsuo Kubo who claims to be the killer is in the TV world. Oh my god, so the killer is a weeb after all. Alright, Mitsuo. This one is for trying to kidnap Nanako. This one is for ruining a whole fandom. And this one is for making me spend a whole week trying to beat you in my solo run. God, where would I be if your fight was impossible? Man, it feels so good to punish the weebs. With that done, I can enjoy the rest of my summer, and by that I mean skip it all until school starts, which thank God is not a real thing. Unless if you're a bum like not me, and do nothing all day, then maybe. And once we're back, a guy named Naoto enrolled at our school, and not long after, he appears on TV, resulting in his disappearance a few days later. Which means the killer wasn't Mitsuo. All that matters is that I got my revenge. We go into Naoto's dungeon, which apparently resembles those villain hideouts from Super Sentai, which, to me, I can actually see going into this dungeon. Kinda off topic, but recently I binged all of Tokijir, and well, Joker's voice actor voiced this villain, who literally looks like Arsene, and funny enough, there's another villain in this show named Noir, and yeah. This was before Persona 5, by the way. Oh yeah, and Teddy and Chie's voice actors voiced these two. Pretty interesting. Alright, but enough about Super Sentai. We head into where Naoto is at, and the shadow reveals that Naoto is actually a girl, which she accepts as true. Oh my god, no lies were told. Which means we don't have to fight. So Naoto can just get her persona, and now we can leave. Psych! Unfortunately, that's not what happened. Naoto's shadow decided to start yapping a bunch of things about her until she denies whatever she says, which worked, and now a huge time save is ruined! Now I have to do a fight where I cheese her in 3 turns, which resulted in a huge time loss that I now live in a time where everyone that's existed from the moment I was born is dead. Okay, that was actually too deep. Kirby, say something! So after that, we still had no leads as to who the killer was, so we just continue to live our normal lives until something happens. And by normal, I mean things that make no sense, like learning how to perform as a band a lot faster than me trying to speedrun this game, and even being successful at it. If only it were that easy. Later was the school festival where the guys become literal Giga Chads and the girls get into a bikini contest they didn't want to do, but don't worry, I got them. After that, we get a warning letter in the mail saying we should stop what we're doing as they threaten to kill someone close to us if we don't do so. And unfortunately, Dojima was around us when we were reading it, and because he wanted me to be safe, he locks me up in the cell, which didn't end up being that smart of an idea as Nanako ended up being the next person to appear on the Midnight Channel, and with her being all alone, the killer has kidnapped her. My friends were made aware of the situation and... Wait a minute. They told us the info, and not long after, we find out that the killer was a drug dealer named Taru Namatame. Dojima went ahead to chase after him, but things didn't end well. When we arrived at the scene, Dojima got into a crash, and Namatame and Nanako were gone. it's pretty clear that he went inside the TV with her to run away from us. But Namatame seemed to have not known that I was a speedrunner, so I could just find him in 3, 2, 1. When we got there, Namatame threatened to save Nanako if we get any closer to him. Yeah, that's exactly what he said. We don't know what this dude is on, but this does not look like any saving. This is just weird. We take Nanako away from him, and then he turns into some weird-looking creature. We of course do the usual, but I do want to say that we've now gotten to a point where we can't cheese that easily with Yoshitsune, at least for taking damage. But as for everyone else, being underleveled is now starting to get to my teammates. At least for this fight, it wasn't that much of a problem, but this is telling me that it'll get worse from here on out. After defeating him, we get Nanako out of here, but her being in the TV world has had such a negative effect on her health that she is now in the hospital for it. We can only hope now that she'll get better, as well as Dojima. As time went on, the town became all foggy, and then we realized the fog from the TV world was coming into our world after we put on our glasses. Things then began to escalate as Adachi called later that day and said Nanako is in a much terrible state than before, and when we arrived, she died. We then find out that Namatame happens to also be in this hospital, so Dojima decided to go to his room to give him a piece of his mind, but of course he can't. So we decided to do it instead. Now that we got the killer cornered, it's now judgment time. For murder of 2 lives, a high school student and a TV announcer, for putting the lives of 5 in danger with one of them now dead, Taro Namatame, you are hereby pronounced... Okay, so apparently he's actually innocent for some reason. So there's clearly things we don't know of. So once Namatame was all calmed down, we decided to hear his perspective of this case. Basically, the moment he witnessed Mayumi and Saki getting killed after they appeared on the Midnight Channel, he felt like he had to do something to stop it. So anytime someone was shown on the Midnight Channel, he thought throwing them into the TV would be a safe place for them to be hidden from the killer, which isn't the case, as that's how they were getting killed. So basically, he thought he was the main character. So now that we know that Namatame isn't the killer, we start brainstorming to figure the possibilities of who the killer can be. And after thinking it through, we've come to conclude that the killer was Adachi, because we actually couldn't think of anyone, so now we're blaming random people. And funny enough, it worked, as he self-reported right in front of Dojima and then ran into the TV world. When we found him, Adachi was like, yeah, I'm responsible for everything, and then dipped. And now comes an opportunity for a huge time save. Basically, if you beat the dungeon now, it'll skip to December 23rd, otherwise you have until that day to beat the dungeon. I, of course, took this opportunity, but that didn't mean I was gonna finish this dungeon very quickly. As I said before, we're now at a point where being underleveled is going to be a problem, as this is the point in the game where Yoshitsune isn't going to be as cheesy as he is in early game. So I actually had to grind to level 63 to 67. I head to where Adachi is at to finally put this case to an end, but it wasn't going to be that easy with his attacks doing a lot of damage and Yoshitsune doing a few hundred damage to him. Despite this, it was still manageable, but it doesn't end here as Adachi turns into Amano Sagiri, and this is where things actually get hard. One thing about this boss is that he gets 2 turns, and we're pretty underleveled. Not by a lot, but still underleveled enough for this to be hard. And this, my friends, is exactly why I took my time to max out social links, because as I said before, the problem with my Yoshitsune build is that he isn't an invincible one like how most people build him, which is my fault due to laziness, because again, it's a shitty build from my first playthrough of this game, and I already know you people are still getting your comments ready anyway, but hey, the more comments I get, the more the algorithm will favor this video. With all that said, Amano's security goes down, the killer has been caught, the fog goes away, we are finally at peace now. We enjoy our winter break, New Year's, and go on a ski trip with our friends. That night we decided to tell scary stories like the time Fuka died in Persona 3, and then the lights go out.
Blackout?
Oh shit! Something just went past me!
I told you I didn't want to do this! Why didn't you listen to me? How dare you to think you're eating all the snacks while I'm gone? I'm gonna curse you.
get him? Yeah, let's finish him off.
I'm sorry, Teddy. Only people have human rights.
Next day, we were skiing with the boys until we somehow got lost in the woods. Luckily, we found ourselves a cabin where we can warm up, and then...
Hey, wait up! Whoa, dude, stop it! What the hell are you doing? Quit fooling around!
But we have to find out, right, Senpai?
No! Sensei, stop it! You'll fall in!
Hey! What do you guys think you're doing? Senpai, no! Don't leave me! They're still dressed.
So what actually happened was that we noticed this TV went off, and next thing we know, we were all pulled in. We then find ourselves with Margaret in a place called the Hollow Forest where Marie went missing. We don't know exactly why she ran in here, so we decided to go in and find her. Now, unlike our previous dungeons, this one likes to play a lot of tricks on us. Like sometimes you'll encounter shadows by unlocking paths, your SP gets halved after each battle, and all your items are gone. However, as you progress, you will be given stuff that'll be useful for the boss fight at the end, like items that remove certain immunity to spells, armor that'll protect you from certain spells, and items that replenish SP. So it really isn't that bad. The mid-bosses were also pretty easy. We reach the end and ask Marie to come back to us, but she refuses, so now we have to fight. Now, one thing about Marie is that she's immune to physical moves, so we can't even use Hasotobi on her, which is exactly why I chose to keep Maziodyne so that I still got something to hit her with. And with only a few hits, we were done with this phase. She then reveals her true form, Kusumi no Okami. Not Kasumi, like some of you guys in the last challenge run thought I said. Kusumi. Likewise, she's also immune to physical, so we gotta use our break items to even be able to attack her with our magic. The fight was actually pretty easy, and it was just like fighting in a normal playthrough, which is bad because that's very slow. With the fight over, Marie is back to normal, I get myself another girl proving Shadow Kanji wrong again, and we speedrun our death by knocking over a wall while the girls are all naked. And now, it was time to pack up, say goodbye to everyone, and now it is time to leave. That is, of course, if I want to, but as I said before, we're going to beat this game as a whole. So of course, I'm gonna go to Junes and activate the true ending route. Now, despite being underleveled and how much trouble Adachi and Amano Sagiri has given me, this fight was a lot easier simply because of Naoto's third awakening ability, Shield of Justice. But that doesn't mean it's okay to be reckless, as in the second phase, Izanami has 2 turns, so you still gotta watch out. So yeah, you just gotta play it safe and you'll be alright. The fight lasted 20 minutes, which I don't know if that's fast, don't know how fast speedrunners beat this fight, but I think this is still pretty good, hopefully. After getting rid of all her health, she kills us all because she's a goddess and she can do that. And then comes the part where the protagonist thinks about his friends and gains a new power that could defeat a god or a goddess in one move, and we win. We then try to speedrun the ending but can't skip that part, but the epilogue we can, and the run is over. My final time was 14 hours and 7 minutes. Compared to other times, I don't think this is even that bad. It may not be faster than any of the current records, but it's still faster than a whole day, faster than my upload schedule, which I'm sorry for since a video like this shouldn't have taken so long, but it's still faster than Haven getting his next challenge run in, which is all that matters. I'm playing, by the way, if you couldn't tell, because most people that watch my videos could never tell if I'm joking or not. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it and want to see more like this, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment on what more you want to see. I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you all in the next video.